Good morning, and welcome to this reading for the week ahead for Friday, July 10th to July 16th. This reading is coming to you from the unceded territory of the Squamish Nation. I invite you to take a few slow, deep breaths and just ground yourself while I set the intention for the reading for today. Creator, this is your daughter Titania, and I am here and willing to do this reading for this week ahead for the highest and greatest of all listening. I invite my higher self and the higher selves of all those listening, as well as an overlighting angel of communication, to facilitate this exchange and ensure that it happens in the highest and best manner possible for the highest and greatest good and the clearest and most uplifting manner possible. I invite the four archangels to come and hold the four directions around us, creating a bridge over time and space to all those who are listening now and in the future, creating a space of healing, of clarity, of wisdom, of upliftment, of empowerment, of healing, of anything that is in our collective hearts and minds at this time. Allow me to tap into that which is wanted, that I may be a clear channel for that right now in a manner that will be supportive and helpful, enlightening and empowering to all those who listen. I invite Raphael to hold the east, Michael to hold the south, Gabriel to hold the west, and Uriel to hold the north. Thank you for coming. We set the tone for ease, for upliftment, for clarity, for love, for light, for healing, for all that is in our collective heart and mind at this time of the highest and best nature. Anything that doesn't match these frequencies is welcome to go now. High Priestess has jumped out here. See if she comes up again. Lots of jumpy cards today. Okay. So this is the reading for the week ahead, July 10th to the 16th. Starting with the recent past, this is the energy that we're coming from and that will continue to move through the week. The Hierophant, the Pope and other decks, this energy of the inner teacher, of the wisdom that is within when we all slow down and tune into listening to this frequency. It's a major arcana, has to do with our soul's growth and evolution, why we're on the planet. So this recent past energy is continuing with us, and it's important, this learning to tap into the wisdom that is all around us and deep within us. Meditation, of course, is a really great way to do this. Stopping, pausing, giving ourselves space to access this wisdom is very, very important, especially at this time. I mean, it's so unsettling. This time that we're living in right now, where there's just so much change and upheaval, this energy of the Hierophant, this reminder to tune in, to relax, to take time out from the busyness of third dimensional life and plug into the broader, wiser part of us is the message from the recent past that continues into the present, into the future. So this energy of the Hierophant will continue. And it's a way for us to be resourceful and resilient. Very important for us to tap into this. And another energy around this is that many of us have spiritual traditions that ground us, and remembering to turn to those, remembering to ground ourselves in those spiritual traditions, not in a dogmatic manner, but in the manner that they were intended, which is to connect us with our spiritual core, our spiritual source. So again, this pulling of this grounding into our experience to keep us present, to keep us resilient, to keep us from, tipping off into fear and upset and anxiety. We make better decisions when we're grounded. And so, again, this idea of tapping into that wisdom that is within us to ground ourselves as we move forward and make choices and decisions in the now. This is the present environment, the Hanged Man. So 2 major arcana so far. The Hanged Man is about pulling ourselves to a new perspective. And so from this place of wisdom, this place of inner knowing, we can, in the face of whatever we're confronted with, take a different perspective on it, a more resourceful, more resilient perspective, one that helps us to stay empowered, grounded, and in our now, grounded in our now, knowing where we are, where we stand, not necessarily getting pulled off our center. We need to have a new perspective on things if we're going to solve the problems that face us. We need to step outside of the paradigm that we've been existing in and create something new. We need to do that. We need to step outside, pull ourselves to a new perspective, and give ourselves permission to look at things in a new way and to be resourceful from that. And coming together to solve problems helps us to have new perspective, because we all have our own interpretation of what's going on. And by coming together and sharing what we're seeing and what we're experiencing, our collective wisdom is so much greater than our individual wisdom. And so we can help each other to have new perspectives and look at our collective experience from a new way so that we can come up with new solutions. So even if things are seeming disruptive or upsetting, see if you can find a new way of looking at it that will ease that for you and soften that for you, so that you can find peace and step away from whatever's clogging you emotionally, so that you can be more, again, this idea of being more resilient, more resourceful. And sometimes it's just a slight tweak is all we need to have a new insight into our experience so that we can move forward powerfully. The near future. The Queen of Swords. So swords are the suit of air, and the air suit is related to Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. That's what's written on the bottom here if you can't make that out. The Queen of Swords is the feminine aspect of this air energy. And it's the realm of ideas, of action. It's very practical, very reasonable, very linear. You think swords, you're either lopping it off or you're not. This, not a very good analogy, I apologize. But this idea of clarity, of using the reason, using the mind, using our gifts of reason to see clearly and make good choices and be very practical moving forward. This isn't a card of emotion, but it is an empathetic card. It is the feminine energy. So it is this leveraging the power of intuition and reason together in order to make the best decisions to move forward. So the near future is about this, calling in this practical, reasonable way of looking at things, which often helps to get us to a new perspective. When we take in the information, we take in the facts, we take in the information, we are then able to reevaluate and look at things from a new perspective. So again, this is about being practical. What is it that we want? What is our collective will? What is it that we want to see? I mean, I think for all of us, for many of us, we want a wonderful future. And I think so much of the gift of this isolation COVID-19 experience has been discerning what do we value, what is important. And by taking the time to ground to our inner wisdom and be very clear about what we want, we're better able to move forward and create the lives that we want to see. So again, giving ourselves permission to tap into our grounding, our inner wisdom, our inner teachers, turning to our spiritual traditions as a way of staying grounded and centered and resilient. Present environment, again, that pulling ourselves to a new perspective, pulling ourselves to a new way of looking at things, looking for new insights. There are brilliant minds coming forward with incredible solutions right now. So being open to hearing what those could be. And in the near future, practical. How are we going to apply that? How are we going to take that into our lives? How are we going to change our experience in a really powerful and supportive way? The foundation of the reading is why we're having the reading. Here's this energy of romance, of love, of partnering, of working together. It's a co-creative dance. This is this energy of romance with life. I mean, if we could shift to love, if we can shift to appreciation, if we can shift to this quality of having a romance with life, it changes everything in our experience. So this is, again, just often these cards, it's just offering a different way of looking at our experience. It's a little softer, a little kinder, a little wider, a little wiser, that helps us to take action and make choices in our current experience that are for our better, that serve our higher good. And so this quality of this energy of romance sitting in the foundation position, why we're having this reading is about cultivating this, is about cultivating these qualities in our relationship with life, in our relationship with each other. But more, it's the sense is this idea of loving life and courting life. If life was your partner, if life was your true love, how would you engage with life? With delight, with appreciation, with always with kindness, always with respect, always with appreciation. So again, if we can pull those qualities into our daily experience, even if it's wrapping up your day with a gratitude count. 5 things you're grateful for. A gratitude journal, writing it down is even more powerful because, of course, you're putting it into this 3-dimensional reality instead of just having it floating around in your mind. The things that you appreciate about your life. What is the love story of your life? And taking note of that, of looking for that, of seeking that. Wherever we put our attention is what we're going to pull into our experience. So it's really, really important for us to be mindful about what we're looking at. What are we drawing towards us by our focus and our attention? Is it more of what we want, or is it more of what we don't want? We get to choose. That's that resilient perspective, that pulling ourselves to a new perspective. If something isn't serving you right now, if it's not serving you to give attention to it, it's upset, it's disruptive, turn and focus on something that will help you to soften and become to get into a state of appreciation or satisfaction or enthusiasm. Whatever it is that you need to do it's helpful often to unplug from whatever it is that's disruptive. And I've harped on the media before. That is a really great example because, let's face it, it's not very encouraging or uplifting to watch these channels where the message is often about fear, often about worry, often about things that cause you to be pulled out of your now and your present reality, out of your relationships with life, out of your relationships with others, in your immediate environment, and causes you to worry about things that are outside of your field. So again, we are right here, right now, in our physical bodies. This is our sphere of influence. Coming back to our sphere of influence, breathing into our sphere of influence, being here now, super important, and looking for cultivating our love affair with life. Okay, how I need to connect myself, or how we need to connect ourselves, is the position of the next card. Card of frustration. So feeling like, spinning wheels, things not maybe happening quickly enough, things not happening the way we want them to go, feeling like the energy that we're putting out is not coming back to us. Pentacles is usually about money. It can be about material things, but it's the sensation of just being stuck. It's okay. It's okay. We all have moments like these. It's just where we're collectively sitting. It doesn't mean it's not going to change, because it will. That's the energy that we're sitting in. So if you're having this experience of frustration right now, take a deep breath and turn your attention towards something that you can work on, something that you can accomplish, even if that's the dishes or cleaning your bathroom, making your bed, something concrete that you can go out and do and complete and have the satisfaction of that completion. This is again, pulling yourself to a new perspective and putting your energy towards something that you can achieve, that you can have results in. So this is how we need to conduct ourselves, is despite the feelings of frustration, pulling ourselves to a new perspective around it and redirecting our energy towards something that we can accomplish, something that we can succeed at, something that can help us to continue to have a sensation of moving forward in our lives. Because where tension goes, energy flows and it builds. We draw life through us based on our set point. And if our set point is frustration, well, we'll probably pull more stuff in that we're going to be frustrated about. If our set point is the satisfaction of a job well done, we will pull through more of that experience into our field. And how others are going to be: courage. 7 of Wands. So this, I'm feeling right off the bat, is like two different things. One, that there will be others who will stand with you and give you courage. And that, two, others may challenge you so that you're having to have courage. This idea of standing and holding your ground, holding what you believe in, having the conviction of your beliefs, of what you know in your heart to be true, and being firm in that, standing in that with confidence, standing in that with intention in the face of opposition, and having the courage to speak your truth, to be, again, just this energy of courageousness. I mean, we're living in a time where there's a lot of the story that we've been trained around as we've been part of this culture. There's so much of that story that's falling apart and that's falling away. And what's true is many of us have different perspectives on how things should go and how we want life to go that don't have anything to do with that existing narrative. And so we've often seen people who step outside the narrative become targeted and vilified for having a different perspective. But once again, it's really important for us to distinguish that our perspective is necessary for the collective. Even if it's simply a voice of contrast to help flesh out a discussion, to help flesh out an area that needs attention. We need all perspectives at the table so that we can have the broadest diversity of wisdom at the table to help us to make the changes that we need to see going forward. And that requires courage. And so courage with regards to the challenges of others, and courage that we take from associating with others who are also sharing perhaps our alternative perspectives. We need those alternatives now. Our mainstream medical model has not been able to deal with the COVID-19 crisis in a very effective manner. And yet there are so many tools that our alternative health practitioners have for us to leverage, from nutrition, from our understanding and supporting our microbiome, to alternative healing modalities, homeopathy, Chinese medicine, and many others on the planet. There are many things that we can be proactively doing and taking courage from each other as we stand and look around us and look for good solutions. So again, this energy, this card is about the energy of others, how others are going to be. And as I've said, the sense is twofold. It's one, to have the courage to stand in the face of opposition, but it's also the courage that comes when we stand with others who also hold similar perspectives, and understanding that when we're kind and respectful, we can all come together and have helpful discourse, which is what we need to transform our current paradigm. The outcome, Chariot, fast forward movement, and the energy of will. So, what do we want? Because it's going to go quickly. Things are going to move pretty quickly. The clearer we are, the more grounded we are, the better adapted are we to this energy of change and transformation. Astrologically, the indicators and the various astrologers that I follow talk about how the next 6 months are going to be pretty intense, and there's going to be a lot of change and upheaval and transformation, and that's okay. Change can be scary, or we can pull to a new perspective and see it as the opportunities that we need to create the world that we want, to create the experiences that we want. Collectively, we know we have to change the planet. We see how wonderful it is when things apologies, I just had an interruption. So we're with the energy of the Chariot as the outcome for this coming week, this idea that we're moving towards this energy of fast forward momentum. And I'm not telling you this because I don't want you to get stressed about this. I want you to be aware and be intentional about it, to have your wits about you, to have your will in place about what it is that you want that fast forward movement to look like. And that doesn't have to be uber defined or anything. It's wonderful if we can hold a collective vision for what we want. And that can be as broad as clean water for everyone, clean air for everyone, cleaning up this planet, taking care of her, honoring her in the manner that she needs to be honored, stewarding her, working with her. Again, all the wonderful modalities that already exist that we can leverage to do this good work on the planet. We want food for everyone. We want access to supportive health tools for everyone, nutrition for everyone. And again, this kind of a collective vision that we can hold of even just those broad strokes is really helpful and important for when this movement takes off. So in your personal life, what is it that you want? What is it that you want to see? And collectively, what do we want to see? So spending some time this week on these thoughts. Again, the romance with life, romance with this planet, with this home of ours. And how do we want that to go? How do we want that to look? If we're in relationship with life, how are we as a partner with life? And what are we wanting from our relationship with life? So let's recap. We have the energy of the Hierophant that's coming in from last week and from the recent past. It's continuing into the present, into the future. This energy of tapping into our spiritual traditions, tapping into our spiritual roots, our inner teacher, our inner wisdom, our inner guidance, whatever that looks like, anchoring ourselves in something broader, wiser, deeper than we are, because it's there and we can tap into it. We just have to ask. We just have to say so. And it is so. So allowing that power, that grounding to carry us no matter what comes up in our experience. From that grounding and that space of certainty, because nothing is certain right now except our connection to source, if you have a belief in something broader. And if you don't, well, maybe it's time to cultivate one. From that broader perspective, we are more resilient and capable of having a better way of looking at things, or a more resilient way of looking at things, to take ourselves out of whatever's got us hung up at this point and looking at it differently. We need to be resilient. We need to have new perspective, and sometimes it's just a very, very small shift. But when you find yourself in a predicament, pause, take a deep breath. Just feel where you are in your body, in that moment, in the now. Keep breathing and look for another perspective. And if you can't find another perspective in that moment, it just means that it's not time to make a decision, or it's not time to deal with that. Go and do something else. Change your mind, change your engagement with life. Go and do something different, and then come back to it with fresh eyes. Back to it with a fresh perspective. Take a time out. It's okay. You're allowed. The near future, the Queen of Swords. So as we come to this week, as we move through this week, we're going to be called on to draw on our gifts of reason, of practicality, of common sense, of what makes sense. But it's this intuitive knowing of what makes sense, because it's the feminine. So cultivating this as we go forward, as we're needing to make choices or move forward or make decisions, calling on these qualities that we embody, and to make the choices and the decisions that we need to make. This reading for this week is all about cultivating our relationship with life, cultivating our romance with life, not just the relationship, the romance. Fall in love with your life. What do you need to do to fall in love with your life? And you know, one of the most powerful ways to fall in love with something is to appreciate it, to really, really appreciate it. Even if it's somewhere where you're standing that you don't love, look for the things that you appreciate about your life. Write them down, give them some attention, because again, where we give our focus is what is going to build in our experience. It becomes our set point for what we're attracting. If we can learn that, boy, our lives would be different. And this is a reminder to do just that. This week is about cultivating a romance with life, appreciating your life, appreciating it, having a new perspective on the things maybe that you're hung up on or stuck on, so that you can, again, move out of any resentment or any upset or anything that has you wound up, and appreciating your life. The energy of appreciation is so powerful. Some people call it gratitude. I like the word appreciation better. But again, it's similar. It's this idea of giving love and giving, appreciation is the word, for your life, for the elements of your life. And knowing that life is serving you, and it has your back, and it's always there for you. And even when it seems like it doesn't, there's an opportunity for you to look at your life in a new way and pull yourself to a new perspective, so that you understand that you're creating this experience that you're having. Okay, how I need to conduct myself is the position, which is all of us. And in the face of frustration, look for the opportunity. Look for in the face of challenge, look for the parts that are working. And if there are just things that just are not working, go do something that is working. Go do something that you do have control over. Go pull your experience into your experience, the satisfaction of the energy of completion, of achievement, of doing something. Again, that could be as simple as making your bed. Just do something that shifts your energy. This is you being resilient. You're not sitting and wallowing in the frustration. Oh, you're welcome to, if that feels like that's where you want to hang out for a while. But just recognize you are the one choosing that. You don't have to sit there. You can look at your paradigm and go, right, this isn't working. I'm not happy. I'm not satisfied. This isn't the way I want it to go. This isn't going right. And I think there's a lot of things that we're feeling that way about. And we can go, right, I don't have the solution yet for this. So I'm going to go and use my talents in a way that's going to help me to feel more resilient and more resourceful. And I'll be able to come back to my problem and solve it better. So again, this is just little tools. It's a different way of doing life, a different way of interacting with life that makes a huge difference in how we experience life and our romance with life. We can change things when we realize that we are the ones making the decisions in our experience. We are sovereign in our experience, and to stop giving our power away. We get to make these decisions. We get to choose what we're doing with our life force and energy. So always move in the direction of highest satisfaction. How others are going to be. This is the card of courage, taking courage from each other and having the courage to to stand in our place of power and stand in our convictions, even in the face of opposition. Because not everybody's going to agree with us, and that's okay. That's important. We need, again, this diversity of perspective in order to come up with new solutions. And you expressing your different perspective may be exactly what's needed in your environment or your community or whatever it is that you're in the midst of to come up with a new resilient solution. We're all building this together. So have courage and take courage from others who are also in the same place, holding in perhaps a different perspective than the mainstream. But you know what? That mainstream perspective, there isn't just one perspective. There are many, many, many perspectives. We're just being fed one perspective. Understanding and appreciating that there are many perspectives helps us to realize that our perspective is valid, even though it is very different than what everybody else is telling us, what we're getting told in the media, and what is going, what we do get fed sometimes, even in our communities. So just take courage in the fact that even though you may feel alone, you're not alone. There are many, many people who have different perspectives on the collective experience. And more we're going to hear those voices, because that's just what's happening right now. We need your voice. We need your unique perspective. We need what you have to contribute. So be courageous. And then the outcome is the fast forward movement. This change and transformation. But in our case, we really want it to be from a place of intention, from a place of romance with life, from a place of co-creating with life something magnificent and wonderful, where everyone is thriving, everyone is seen, everyone is appreciated, everyone is able to contribute in a meaningful way. There's so much here that we can move towards with confidence, with enthusiasm, and quickly. These are things we know we want. So that's the direction that things are going in for this week. Keep these energies in mind as that movement happens, and be confident in the face of the movement, because it's all working towards our greater good. Believe that, because it's true. We can always look for what isn't working and give that a lot of energy, but ultimately it's us doing it, isn't it? And we can also choose to have a broader perspective that serves us. And ultimately, life meets us whatever we're putting out towards it. So remember that this week. That seems to be the energy for this week. Feels very complete. Because it's fun, I like to pull a card to grow on for the week ahead. So let's do that. Card to grow on. What do we need to know for the week ahead? Four of Swords, seclusion. So a little bit of time meditating will be very grounding. 4 is very stable. So an idea, the energy of this card is just to give yourself permission to take a little bit of time out. Go sit at the seashore, go sit somewhere quietly in a forest, ideally in a natural environment, but that's okay. Wherever you are is okay. But take a little bit of time. And this doesn't mean hours and hours. This can mean 5 minutes. Just close your eyes, be quiet, be still, breathe, and just focus on your breath if you need to, focus on some music, whatever. Give yourself space. This is, there's 4 swords around the individual here, person who's meditating. And this creates a container, a sacred container for information and wisdom to come through, as well as solid grounding in the face of life. So this is our card to grow on this week. Don't be afraid to pull yourself out of life a little bit and just have some time in seclusion. Maybe that's the opportunity you need to focus on your romance with life and all the things you love about life. Okay, my friends, thank you for this opportunity to read for you. Creator, this reading is at an end. I like to ask that you be with us as we walk this week and do the good work that we're here to do. I ask that you guide us to being resilient in our perspectives, courageous in our sharing of our truths, and kind to each other, always, and to ourselves especially. I ask that you help us to see all the things that we love about our lives, and help us to cultivate our love of life, our relationship with you, because you are life. Thank you for this opportunity to be of service. Blessings on each and every person who listens to this recording. May it help you to stand tall in your truth, in your love, in your wisdom, in your gifts, so that you in turn can feel more confident and comfortable being a channel for your light and love in the world. Much love and light. Have a great week, everybody.